Welcome to Thoroughly Wrong, and now your hosts, Francisco and Robert. Take it away, guys.
You guys ready to get started?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, let's do this, man. Welcome to Thoroughly Wrong. My name's Robert. My partner's Francisco, and today we have a guest, Michael. That sucked, guys. I don't like that.
It's fine. It's the first one. So
Yeah.
the first one's always usually suck.
Right. So I should fucking leave this whole thing. All right. Today we're going to be talking about the pandemic, the thing that snuck up on all of us and taught me how to hate jeans. So that's basically
To hate jeans?
Yeah. When we first went to work, I always look forward to Jean Day, and now I just sit around in my underwear most of the time, and I even hate to put on sweatpants to go to the store. So
That's true. No, it's crazy to think about. Like, I remember where I was like on New Year's this last year, and just like even just watching people. Like, I was at Target a few months ago, and at this point they had like a limit of the people that could be inside.
yeah,
So they had a line outside. They don't really do that now, but back then they did. And I was just standing in line to get inside, and everybody was just like in line, wearing their mask. And I was like, wow, like this is like real life right now.
yeah.
Are we actually living like this?
It is bizarre. It's like some sort of futuristic movie now. I can't believe it.
So, Mike here, is it cool if I call you Mike?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Mike here has some experience with like the whole, COVID thing. From what I understand, you had it at some point.
Yeah, so first off, thank you for having me on Thoroughly Wrong. If there's one thing I know, it's being thoroughly wrong. So, back in, it was like late July, I don't remember the exact date, July 20-something. I had been feeling, that weekend, I had been feeling just kind of like sniffly and boogery. I just thought it was allergies and stuff. Really run down to where I would be sleeping like 10 hours and then wake up tired. So I went to work, and I work at a grocery store with the general public. And boy, let me tell you, the general public has just been just wonderful. No, just kidding. They've been horrible. So anyway, I go on my lunch break one day. I go to Jack in the Box, and I'm just sitting in my car eating, and I'm on my phone. I'm not really paying attention, just kind of eating away. And all of a sudden, realize I cannot taste my burger at all. Stick my nose right in it and don't smell anything. I had a strawberry Fanta. Took a drink of that. Nothing. And I'm like, oh, this is not good. And I more or less felt pretty okay, other than just really, really tired. But I was more concerned about passing it on to one of our elderly customers. And had I found out that I would have passed it on to somebody and maybe killed them or debilitated them, I wouldn't have been able to live with myself. So told my supervisor, and then HR called me like 30 seconds later, and they're like, yeah, you need to leave your store now. And go. It was late at night, so I went and got tested the next day, and then sure enough, came up positive. That was the only symptom I ever got was fatigue and loss of taste and smell.
What's that test like?
That was, what, the test wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I went and got tested by Kaiser. And what they do is they actually they make you stay in your car, and they even separate the cars so you're not even parked next to somebody, if that makes sense. So like it's every other parking space, you have to park in, and a lady comes up you have to like pull into a parking space, and there's a sign right there that says call this number and somebody will come out and test you, so you call the phone number and you're like, hey, I'm here for COVID test, and this lady comes out and like full PPE, like I'm a leper or something. And so I got a double test. I got a throat swab, which made me gag, but otherwise it wasn't really that bad. And then I got the nasal swab. And when she was doing it, I was actually like, oh, this isn't really that bad. And then she hit that little, I guess it's some sort of mucus membrane,
Oh.
in way in the back of, I don't know, by my brain or something, I guess. And I kind of like, I almost sneezed directly in her face, and I had to like turn my head away, you know. Um, and then that made my eyes water for quite a bit and made me cough. I couldn't tell you at all where I got it from. I have no idea. Just I guess working with the general public, and I handle a lot of cash, and I do
Yeah.
have a bad nail biting habit. So I
Oh.
think maybe I did that and just wasn't thinking, didn't even notice. That's the only thing that I can think of. I don't have a clue how I contracted it.
How long
So
were you? Did you feel like that? Like no taste and no smell and all that stuff?
it was roughly a week and a half. And the instructions that I got from Kaiser were, if you once it's been 10 days where your symptoms are improving and you have not had a fever for, I believe, 72 hours, which I never had a fever at all, then you can leave isolation. So I was isolated for, yeah, like 10 days. Um, and, truthfully, I had some friends, bought me video games and all kinds of crap. And I was just kind of banished to my bedroom for 10 days and watched TV and played video games and, did push-ups on the floor. I didn't know what else to do. And after a couple of days, I started getting a little, 2 or 3 days, I started getting a little twitchy, just kind of being stuck in the bedroom for days. So I started going for drives at night. I just, I wouldn't get out of the car, but just to get the hell out of the house because I was getting really weird, kind of insane.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was a cool experience for a couple days, and after that, I was like, all right, I kind of want to like see another person, so I need to get out of here.
I think that's one of like the worst things about like how this like virus works. Like you said, you had no other symptoms. You couldn't smell or taste. And I remember when when we were first hearing about it, like they didn't really tell people that. Like it was a few months before, like, oh hey, this is also a symptom. So I feel like there was probably so many people that at some point didn't smell or taste anything, and they didn't get anything else, so they just thought, it was fine, or like, oh, like my nose is plugged up or something.
Yeah, and I
And who
actually,
knows how many people like they gave it to.
yeah, I thought I kind of chalked it up to allergies because I'm a big time seasonal allergy sufferer, and I remember at my store, since I was talking about dealing with fatigue, this is in July, it's hot as hell. I went outside to do a cart run because there's nobody else able to do it. And I had to do it. We had like no carts. I do like the whole parking lot. I got like halfway through the parking lot and I'm just like, I felt like I had to go sit down. I was just wiped out. And, but I chalked it up to, I couldn't breathe and it's 110 outside. I kind of was like, oh, the heat's getting to me. So I went and got some water, sat down for 5 minutes and I was okay. But it's never happened before or since. So maybe I should have recognized that was kind of an anomaly in hindsight.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to like know anything for sure because I feel like we get new information like every other day about it, and just everything's changing around it, so it's just hard to gauge. And like you said, like there's like extremes on both sides. There's people that have very mild symptoms like you, or have no symptoms at all, and then there's people that are dying, within days.
Yeah. The most interesting thing that I noticed about the whole experience was, um, so I talk about not having a sense of taste. I noticed that so do you know what the five basic tastes are? Bob, I'm sure you know this because you like to cook.
Yeah.
Like
It's,
sweet and stuff like
yeah,
that.
sweet, salty, savory, bitter, and sour.
Hmm.
And I noticed, like, for instance, I had that strawberry Fanta I told you about. I noticed that I could taste, I would drink it and taste that it was sweet, like it was sugary, if that makes sense, but I couldn't taste any strawberry. And I could taste salt. And I remember drinking coffee and recognizing that it was bitter, but like I know what my coffee tastes like, and I wasn't getting any of that taste. And I remember we ordered Indian food while I was in isolation. We Grubhubbed it, and I didn't taste a damn thing. Like it's a waste of $50. I tasted nothing.
I saw there's a lot of people like taking up the opportunity to like take hella shots and not feel a thing or not taste the thing. Won't taste the burn on the way down.
You know what? I did one time in isolation. I did get really drunk, and it wasn't worth it because I was already like fatigued, and then I woke up. Well, I can't drink anymore because I get super. It destroys my sleep, and I don't get restful sleep, so it was twice as worse, and it was just not worth it.
Well, I'll give up sleep. That's fine.
What are your guys' because like the whole what are your guys like opinion on um the whole mask dilemma that's going around? I feel like everywhere else, like around the world, it was like a health crisis issue, or a health issue. But like for some reason here, it just became so like politicized, and
Yeah.
there's
um,
there's
I
no
feel like
opinion to be had. Wear a mask, you piece of shit. Like it's not an opinion. I,
yeah, I just feel like I hate when people say like, and like so many, I've read it in so many comments, like so many interviews, like, well, you know, it's like violating my rights. Like, what right exactly is being violated? Like, can you not talk or can you not breathe? Like, it's not that hard, like, to wear a mask or, and it's not even like for yourself, it's more like for others. It's just
yeah.
to be considerate of others.
So we at where I work, we actually it is our policy that you must wear a face mask or some sort of face covering when you're in the store. And pretty regularly we'll get people that just stroll right in without a mask. And I, maybe 90% of the time they politely pretend that they missed the frickin' 4 foot tall sign that says face covering required, and they put it on. Or um, generally, if they are polite, I will offer them a mask that um, we have. We have like boxes full of them. If they're being turds, I'm like, yeah, you get the hell out. We're going to refuse your service and you need to leave. Um, I have been I have been called a when I asked the lady to wear a mask. Uh, she said, "Oh, so you're a liberal?" And I said, "Yeah, if that makes you feel better, whatever. Just get out, because I'm not dealing with this. I'm not paid enough to deal with your crap."
Yeah, and like that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like the mask has become just like a political symbol that, and it has like no reason for it to be that. Like, what about it is politicized? And like my theory behind it is that I feel like one of the main reasons that we got to that, like how we are, was like from the beginning, um, like Trump was like just downplaying it the whole time. Like I remember he said, "Oh, we'll open by Easter for sure," and then Easter comes around and we get even worse. And it took him like months to even like publicly wear masks. I don't know if you guys remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then now all that crap is coming down. I think it's just happened within the last week that he knew quite well how nasty it was.
Yeah, I saw that he basically just said, "Oh, I didn't want to cause panic," but
Yeah,
like, okay, that makes no sense. You
as
don't want to
early as
cause panic,
early February, he knew how pretty bad it was.
and I feel like that played a huge role into like half of the country being like, "Oh, well, he's not wearing it, and he's my president, so if he's fine, I should be fine."
I I just look at it. I don't see. I can't fathom how it's a political issue. Um, but if you objectively look at Donald Trump's body of work as a president since 2017, and you go, "Wow, this guy's done a bang up job," then I can't. I don't think I can really dissuade you, because if you look at his performance, especially with this, as 100,000 plus deaths should be rightly laid at the guy's feet. I don't see how you can look at what he's done and go, "Wow, this guy's killing it."
Yeah,
It's mind boggling to me.
But in the beginning, didn't the CDC say no mask and then wear a mask and then no mask and then it is good and then it's not good? So there was a big problem in the beginning. It like overseas in Japan when SARS hit, it was masks, and no one asked. No one said it won't work.
I think when they were saying like don't buy a mask, that was very early on because there was like a huge shortage, especially like in the like healthcare department, like for hospitals and like nurses, doctors, and all that. So they didn't want people like hoarding all the supplies.
Like toilet paper.
Yeah, pretty much. But I feel like as they became more readily available and like more common, that's when they started like promoting the mask. And I think also at the same time like the cases kept rising to the point where like, okay, well, it's getting like even more serious. We have to be more cautious, especially like in public, not just in hospital settings or like nursing home settings.
Yeah, I just find it sad that, yeah, and if they did tell us the truth, there's a mask shortage. We need them for our hospitals. We need them for our healthcare workers. We need them for our ambulance drivers. And people would still not have listened in this country, and they still would have taken it away. So you have to lie to them in order to save the culture.
I guess you could put toilet paper over your face. You got shit coming out of it anyway.
And like there's been so many stories I've read of like certain people like that would denounce the whole virus, like, oh, it's not that bad, or it's just a common cold, it'll go away. And then you see in the news that like they get it like a few weeks later. There's even been some people that would like die from it, that
Yeah.
before then they were just like, oh, it's fake, you guys are sheep, blah blah. And then they end up dying from it, and like all the people in the comments are like, well, that's what you get, blah blah. But at the same time, it's like it's pretty like fucking sad. Like, okay, he didn't believe in it, or they didn't believe in it, whatever, and then they end up dying from it. And then people are saying, oh, that's what you get, karma, blah blah. But at the end of the day, there's still it's a person dying over something that I feel like could have not been, I mean, completely preventable, but we could have handled this so much better.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think it starts from the top.
I mean, more or less, every other country has handled it. I don't know if well is the right word, but they've at least handled it.
Yeah.
We seem to be the only sort of major country that has just failed spectacularly, because it seems to me like a lack of cohesion, or lack of a cohesive message from the very top. And I don't know about you guys, but I've been happy as hell to have Gavin Newsom, taking the steps that he did,
Yeah.
to close things and secure PPE and this and that, because the feds weren't doing a fucking thing. So
Well, as that information disseminated from the top, and it went down to the governor's level. You got some governors like Newsom who lock it down, and some governors like Bloomberg who just shut everything off. And then you got assholes like in Florida where he's like, well, you don't have to wear a mask. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. Don't worry about it.
it's only 1,000 deaths. Get over it.
Exactly. So as that information comes down and it's fractured at the top, it's going to hit different at the governor's level than it hits different at the county level. And as far as Bakersfield, Karen Go hasn't done shit. She hasn't said shit about
Yeah, I haven't heard anything from her.
Nothing.
I feel like a lot of that just goes into playing to like their constituents, Like if it tends to be a blue state or a red state, that pretty much dictates whether they're shut down or not, or for how long they were. Because if you look, like you said, California, New York, all these places like Cuomo over there in New York, like they shut New York City down like hardcore.
Yeah, Cuomo, not Bloomberg.
Same,
sorry.
Same in up in San Fran. I remember San Fran, they got hit pretty hard early on.
Yeah.
And they just completely shut down the city now. And if you look at their numbers now, they're doing like great. I mean, obviously they're still getting cases here and there, but their cases are like way down. Same in New York City. You do like a major shutdown for like a few weeks, and there's science behind that. Like you isolate people, the numbers are gonna go down. So I don't know. I just hate the fact that it became so politicized, and I just feel like like so many lives could have been saved if we just took it serious from the beginning. which I mean, we had every opportunity to. We saw Europe get hit hard, like way before us. We saw Italy get hit hard, Spain, China. But to us, I feel like it's just an American thing in general.
Yeah.
Like there's like a census here that we're like, oh, we'll be fine. Like it's not gonna happen to us. We're like the greatest country on earth. And like there's a big, reality check for a lot of people.
Well, our status in the world has fallen not only because of Trump, but because of this, because we won't listen, and it's obvious we're not listening, and it's just tearing us apart.
So we'll see how long this keeps going. Because I mean, I feel like the numbers have kind of like they've plateaued for the most part, but they're still pretty high.
Yeah,
Now it's just whether how long we stay up there and then begin to go down, or if we stay up there for a long time and then begin to go down, or start declining on their own. Especially now with like the whole like flu season coming and like the colder weather. A lot of people are saying like, well, we had our opportunity to bring it down was during the summer, before flu season, all that stuff. But
yeah.
now it might just double back and the whole second wave thing. And I also feel like at first it was like the cases weren't that high, especially like here in Kern County, and that's when we were like really shut down. Like most like non-essential businesses were closed, and then now when we have like so many cases, we're getting like hundreds a day. We're like more open now, which is kind of, it almost doesn't make sense, Like how are we so like conservative and like, okay, shut everything down, no school, nothing like that, when we had like 20, 30, 40 cases a day, and now we're getting like hundreds. At some point I think we hit like thousands of cases a day.
Yeah, and people need to go work out, man. You know what I mean?
We're at 194,000 deaths right now. I just looked it up, and it looks like the super peak daily peak was it looks like roughly 2,600, which would have been about early May or late April. But I know one of the most recent models that I saw predicted by the time this is all finally said and done and we can go back to school and work, would be roughly 500,000 deaths, which is the worst case scenario.
500,000. Jesus.
And I mean, if you like, there's like what, like 350 million people in this country. So 500,000 doesn't seem like a lot, but at the same time, like that's 500,000 people.
Yeah. There were 113 cases today, 6 deaths in Kern County. So I do have a question for you, Mike.
Yeah, go ahead.
I know that the data's coming in about post-COVID problems, heart problems, lung problems, all kinds of things. Are you concerned about that?
No, and the reason I'm not concerned is because I actually looked this up too, and I believe that generally, these I'm having a brain fart here. Sorry, these complications are from people who had it pretty rough.
Okay.
And like I said, I didn't even have a fever, and I was pretty much feeling fine after about a week. The fatigue started to go away and the sensation smell came back. So, yeah, and I'm generally, I'm in my early 30s and I don't have any health problems that I know of. So
Okay.
I haven't experienced any issues yet. Anyway, and it's been like a month and a half.
So there's a correlation between how severe a case you had and the after effects of it?
I believe generally, yes. I think there are some reports of people who had pretty mild cases just having complications for quite a long time, but generally, yeah, there's a correlation.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like because when you get it pretty bad and you're like at the hospital, on ventilators and whatnot, I feel like that's when you get like the long-term damage, like especially to your lungs. So I
Yeah,
think those are the people that
and heart damage
are,
too.
yeah, that really need to look out for them for like the post damage. But I mean, the data showing like a vast majority of people are going to be fine, at the end of the day.
Right.
But I just feel like it just could have gone so much smoother and so much better. Like if we just took a whole different approach to it from the beginning. I feel like the whole like even when I remember the day I was here in my house when they like canceled like the NBA season or they like postponed it. And I was like, holy shit, like that's never happened. You know?
Yeah.
Sports don't stop, schools don't shut down, stuff like that. Like none of us have ever experienced that in our life. Unless you lived, in 1918.
Well, in 2001, in 9/11, they stopped football for 2 weeks, and people almost shit their pants.
Oh, yeah,
That's all they want. It's like, hey, just give us fucking football back, man. Come on, It's like,
And like, I mean, to some degree, I get like what they're saying because I feel like those things give like a sense of normalcy. So it might be like more like of
Yeah.
a psychological thing. You can't go to school, you can't go to the store, like you can't do anything without it being affected by it.
yeah.
And
Well,
I feel
friend,
like it scares a lot of people.
you watched football yesterday, right?
Yeah, pretty much all day.
Okay. I watched it for a while, and I had this cognitive dissonance because there's no crowd, but yet they're pumping in some low crowd noise. And then I noticed that football has changed because the crowd noise levels controlled the game. Quarterbacks couldn't be heard. Mistakes were made because you couldn't hear. You can hear a fucking pin drop in there now.
Yeah, they've talked to like a lot of players in baseball, football, and like it's so much different, like the atmosphere. Because like you said, the crowd controls the game. There's momentum shifts. There's big plays.
Yeah.
And
The National Hockey League is simulating crowd noise for their games.
yeah, I think in the NFL there's only two stadiums that are allowing people, and that's the Jaguars in Florida, which I mean doesn't surprise me because it's Florida. And then the other one was Kansas City because I remember I saw the first game on Thursday, and they had a few people. They had, I think their stadium capacity was like around 70 something thousand, and they had 16,000 people at the game, and they were all like spread out. You had to wear a mask unless you were eating or drinking, and like 16,000 people still sounds like a lot, but like you look at the film and like the game, and that stadium looks so empty.
Yeah. Aren't they going to allow fans at that new stadium in Las Vegas?
That I don't know.
I think it's 25%. From what I understood.
And I feel like, I don't know, it's kind of a tricky situation. Like, we can open a lot of things, but we just have to do it right, Like, we have to be cautious. We have to be, safe about it. Obviously, we're not going to just open like normal and expect this to go away.
Right.
Have you guys seen there's this super dystopian looking picture floating around of I think it's the San Francisco Giants ballpark stadium, might be wrong, but it's a baseball stadium with cardboard cutouts of people sitting in the stands, and the sky is orange. It looks like super fucking dystopian. I'm like, wow, that sums up 2020 right there.
Yeah. And like I think most stadiums are doing that cardboard cutout thing, which I thought was pretty cool. I'm a big Dodger fan, and I remember I heard the Dodgers were doing that. So it's like, and you get to like they'll mail you like your cutout like at the end of the season.
Oh, that's
All
pretty
right.
cool.
And like all the money they were doing, it was like for charity and stuff. So I mean, that was cool and all, but it just looks like so different. I mean, and I can't imagine how it is for the players because I mean, us as like we're watching it on TV. It's not like we're watching the audience the whole time. We're watching the actual game. All the camera angles are towards the game. So we don't really get to see like the bleachers and the seats unless they like pan to it. But the players, they're so used to like, having thousands of people like cheer for them or boo for them. And I feel like that does affect their performance at the end of the day.
It's got to. It's got to affect them psychologically. It's like they're back in high school playing in an empty stadium,
Exactly. And that's probably the last time they didn't have people cheering them on,
Junior high.
But it's just a crazy time we're living in.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you having me on. I got to take off.
Hey, Mike, thanks. I appreciate coming on, man.
It's been wonderful being thoroughly wrong.
Well,
Thanks
I
for
said
thanks for
Bloomberg when I
coming
meant
in.
Cuomo, so I'm thoroughly wrong right there.
Yeah,
We're
fucking A.
winning. All right. Take it easy, brother. Goodbye. All right, man. Not bad. Not
That's
bad.
pretty good. I feel like I feel like a lot in this whole conversation. Um,
You feel like what?
like I said, I feel like 30 times.
Oh, oh, that's fine.
I'm
You can
sure it'll
feel.
improve over time.
It's all right, man.
I
It's
like
all
having him
right.
on. I mean, I know a lot of people. I mean, I don't know that many personally, but like a lot of my friends, they know somebody that's had it at some point or another, or like unfortunately that has passed away at some point or another.
Yeah, I know one person has passed away, and I know about 5 people who family members have had it.
Yeah, so I wonder how that affects like the naysayers, when it hits them like home, because I feel like for a lot of like a vast majority of them, or at least a good percentage of them, it's
I
hit
think,
them.
yeah, I know what you're saying. I was thinking about Dwayne Johnson the other day. I was thinking about The Rock, and it got his whole family. I suspect that he was one of the naysayers from the way he reacted. For his whole family got it because he was kind of shocked, like, "Oh shit, man, my entire family got it."
And I think it also depends the like those people that how it affected them, because like let's say 3 people that got it and they all had mild symptoms and they're fine now. I feel like that would reinforce your narrative, like, oh, it's no big deal, it's gonna be
Right.
fine. To whereas if 3 people and 2 of them died and then one of them's like hanging on for his life at the hospital, like, or you'd be like, oh shit, like it's no joke.
I don't know. It's so hard to change someone's mind.
It is.
Even
That's
no one wants to be wrong. That's the thing. Everybody has this weird built-in defense attorney in their head. It's like no matter what, we're going to defend what we think.
yeah, even when they're like presented like every reasonable argument for like even to just think about the possibility of the other way being correct,
Yeah.
we're just, I don't know if it's like a human thing or like an American thing, but we're just so stubborn in the way, and like even me included, there's things that I feel I'm right about, whereas other people might think I'm not, so, and like you said, it's just so hard to get people to change their minds. And I feel like I was when I was younger, I mean, not that I'm like super old right now, I'm 26, but like in my teens, in my early 20s, I had like certain beliefs that, I mean, for the most part, I would consider myself like a centrist person with like a slight left lean.
Okay.
But I used to be like way more left, like just down the line, like every left issue, like agreed down the line, And the older I've gotten, and like I think one of the most important things to do, and one of the best things to do, is always just listen to the other side, even if you think they're like full of shit, And that sometimes they are full of shit, and sometimes, if you're open about it, you'd be like, okay, that's a good point. And at the end of the day, if they make a good point, you can still disagree with them, but just hearing them out, I feel like makes a huge difference in the way people think.
Well, I did this training from work the other day, and they were talking about the problem that people don't listen, and it's the straw man argument, where we
Yeah.
take another person's argument and we make it real simple to solve, and then we look at them and ask them, like, "Are you a fucking idiot? You can't figure that out?" And the argument is never that simple. And so they said, listen to the person's argument and construct a steel man argument and say, is this what you mean? Is this what we're talking about? And then that way you can pull that person into the conversation because, yeah, I'm going to agree with you a little bit. Let's talk this through instead of you're a dick. I'm not going to listen to you. You're a hippie. You're a leftist. You're a commie. You're a fascist. We got all these words and all these labels to isolate ourselves from the truth. And it's so sad that you're absolutely right. We need to listen to each other. Even when we think the other person is full of shit, we need to listen to them and try to construct that argument back for them and say, listen, we all need to mature here a little bit. To say I'm right no matter what, that means you have the mind of a 6-year-old. You know, so we need to stop being this immature, hateful assholes and start talking to each other. And the thing that I saw the other day in Albertsons, I was in the store and a man was wearing a mask and it said, "This mask is as useless as our governor." And I thought, okay, I agree with that statement right there, because at least you are wearing the mask and protecting me and protecting everything, even if you disagree with it. That's where we should be, instead of
Exactly.
I'm not wearing it. Instead of I'm not wearing it, we should all just wear it whether we disagree or not. You can put, fuck hippies on it. I don't care. Just wear it.
I've seen people pull up with like they have like a MAGA mask on,
Yeah. I've seen
and I'm
those.
like, okay, that's fine with me. That's, you want to wear that, I'm 100% okay with that as long as you're wearing one. And I'll be honest with you, like towards the beginning, I was more on that side, like, well, it's not that big of a deal, or 99 whatever percent of people are going to be fine.
Yeah.
But the more you like see these stories and like there's people like really suffering, and I think it also varies like by location. There's people in like Hawaii, is like they get like a handful of cases, they're isolated, they're on their own.
Yeah.
And then there's places like New York City that are just like, they're, like you saw the news, they had like refrigerated trucks outside of hospitals for like all the bodies and stuff.
And it still didn't change anybody's mind.
Yeah. So it's hard, man. Like, I feel like most issues are very like complicated. I mean, there's some that are pretty cut and dry, but if there's an argument to be had for an issue, like, it's going to be complicated, especially right now. We're so like polarized, like here in this country. And I think it's gone so much worse since, 2017.
Yeah.
Whereas, back like in '08, like with Obama, like he had the whole hope thing. And, there was a bunch of people that, disagreed with him or hated him, which is fine. They're allowed to do that. But now it's like so many people have come out of like the woodwork, and like they kind of show like the real colors, I guess, because it's become so normal.
Yeah. Hate has become normalized now. It's okay. Negativity, hate, just, I don't understand it. You said you're 26, man. I'm 55. And like you, when I was younger, I was straight right, man. I was living in West Virginia, and you know what that state is like. So I had to get away from my family, into the Marine Corps, out of the Marine Corps, into college. And then I didn't really come out of my mindset of I'm right and everybody else is wrong until I started until I started majoring philosophy. And then that taught me, okay, pretty much everybody's wrong, and everybody's looking for facts to solidify their wrong behaviors.
Yeah.
So in a world where this to me, the United States today is the result of decades of selfishness and nihilism, and this is what we've become. This is what we've become. But we could turn around. I have hope. I'm still in Obama's court, man. He's even gone, and I'm like, there's still hope, man. Come on.
I think this is like a very like important like turning point for us, or it can be a turning point for us. We could either go like good, or we could get a lot worse right now.
Yeah.
This next election, which I feel we'll talk about more deeply at some point, is gonna have like a huge impact on, not just like legislation, but just the way people react, the way people treat each other for like many years, if not decades to come.
I agree.
Because I mean, in these last 3, almost 4 years, like we've gone so polarized that, like, honestly, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if within the next 10 years there's like some sort of like, I wouldn't say like a full all out like civil war, but like, I mean, we're seeing it now. There's like some places, in Portland, there's just like cities like burning to the ground, and
and that's not the forest fires from the gender reveal, right?
No.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take away from your.
No, you're fine. But it's so like, whether it doesn't matter what side you're on. It's just a bad time.
It is, and we need to talk about this seriously.
And that's the only way I feel like things can improve, is talking about it. Because, I mean, like I said, I'm pretty centrist, but at the same time, there's things on both sides that I disagree with, left and right, and there's just so much yelling to each other from both sides, and I don't think that solves anything. Like, one side's calling the other side racist and white supremacist, and then the other sides are all lives matter and like all this stuff, and like they're just yelling at each other's faces. And I honestly think none of that, like, what does that do?
It's certainly not helping us. It's certainly not helping us. I see the same thing. I see what you're talking about, and it's a dangerous subject to talk about, because you say the wrong thing to the wrong person, and she's liable to go Karen on you. I mean, totally. So that's why I'm saying we need to build these steel man arguments, not these straw man arguments, and stop tearing each other apart and start agreeing. Okay, there is a mindset of Black Lives Matter that is correct. There's also a mindset of Black Lives Matter that is incorrect. So we need to pull out the things that are helping us and get rid of this violence and get rid of this awful thing that we're doing to each other. And the more we talk, the more we start to yell, and the more we start to yell, the more we're against each other, and that polarization just takes off. And now nobody's talking. Everybody's just screaming and waving signs and burning shit down and breaking windows. And what the fuck is that doing?
Yeah, it's just like separating us even more, and all while dealing with a global pandemic at the same time.
A global pandemic. Let's talk about the election next time.
Yeah, that sounds good. It's coming up, so it's pretty good timing.
Yeah, we're within 40, 50 days, something like that.
Are they gonna have debates?
You know what? I hope so, but at the same time, I'm gonna have trouble watching them, because watching people just tear each other apart and argue with each other.
There's a lot of reasons why I would want to watch them.
It really does.
Which I can tell you next time.
Okay. All right. Well, it's been a good first episode.
Yeah, man. I think it went pretty well.
All right. And next time we'll talk about the election. Let's see if we can find somebody interesting to bring on to talk.
Sounds good.
And how do you end one of these?
I don't know. Do we sign off or anything?
I don't know.
Catch you next week or next time.
Yeah. Well, this is Robert, and
this is Francisco,
and we have been thoroughly fucking wrong.
Later,
See you
man.
next time.
You have been listening to the Thoroughly Wrong Project with your hosts, Francisco and Robert. If you enjoyed today's show, like, follow, leave a comment,
And then look in the description where you'll find our website, Instagram, and Twitter feeds. Until next time, thanks for listening. And just remember, never be afraid to be thoroughly wrong.